Retired Colonel William Bill Harper had been enjoying a peaceful afternoon on the back porch of his assisted living facility when his advancing Alzheimer's disease triggered confusion that made him believe he was late for a military briefing, causing him to walk away from Sunset Manor and into the dense pine forest that surrounded the rural Tennessee facility, where he became hopelessly lost among trees that all looked identical to his deteriorating memory. Bill's dementia had been progressing steadily since his diagnosis 3 years earlier, but this was his first major wandering episode that took him beyond the secure grounds where staff members could easily locate confused residents who sometimes became disoriented about their location or time period. The 300-acre forest preserve behind the facility was a maze of hiking trails, creek beds, and dense undergrowth, where even experienced hikers could become lost, making it virtually impossible for an 82-year-old man with cognitive impairment to find his way back independently. But Duke, Bill's specially trained dementia therapy dog, who had been his constant companion for 18 months, immediately recognized that his veteran was in crisis and activated tracking protocols that his training had prepared him for when residents with memory disorders wandered into dangerous environments where their condition made self-rescue impossible. For 8 hours through the afternoon and into the night, Duke used his scent detection abilities and protective instincts to locate Bill deep in the wilderness and keep him safe until rescue teams could reach them in terrain that challenged even experienced search professionals. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this touching story of unwavering loyalty meeting medical emergency and a therapy dog's determination to protect his veteran when dementia created dangers that loving families and professional caregivers couldn't always prevent, join our community of animal hero enthusiasts who understand that some guardianships require four-legged companions whose devotion transcends memory loss and whose training can provide safety when cognitive disorders threaten those who served our country with honor. Colonel William Harper had commanded respect throughout his distinguished 30-year Army career, but Alzheimer's disease was slowly erasing the sharp tactical mind that had once led troops through 3 combat deployments and earned him numerous commendations for leadership under fire. Dad was always the one with all the answers, his daughter Susan Harper Martinez often reflected during visits to Sunset Manor. Watching dementia take away his memories and reasoning abilities has been heartbreaking for our entire family. Bill's progression into moderate-stage Alzheimer's had required specialized care that his family couldn't provide at home, leading to his placement in a memory care facility designed specifically for veterans with cognitive disorders. Duke, a 5-year-old golden retriever, had been specially trained as a dementia therapy dog with expertise in behavior management, wandering prevention, and emergency response for residents whose memory disorders created safety risks that traditional supervision couldn't always prevent. Duke isn't just Bill's companion, explained memory care coordinator Dr. Sarah Walsh. He's trained to recognize when residents are becoming confused or agitated and provide interventions that can prevent dangerous behaviors like wandering. Bill's wandering episode began when afternoon sunlight and military music from a nearby Veterans Day event triggered a vivid flashback that convinced his dementia-affected mind that he was late for an important military briefing that required his immediate attention. "I have to get to the command post," Bill announced to no one in particular, as he stood up from his porch chair with the kind of urgent purposefulness that his military training had ingrained decades earlier. Duke's response to Bill's sudden agitation was immediate and professional, using behavioral cues that indicated his veteran was experiencing the kind of confusion that often preceded wandering episodes. The Golden Retriever's initial intervention included gentle positioning and calming behaviors designed to redirect Bill's attention and help ground him in present-moment reality rather than military memories from decades past. "Easy, Duke," Bill said absently, as he began walking toward the tree line with the determined stride of a soldier who believed he had urgent duties to perform somewhere beyond the facility grounds. Duke's attempts to redirect Bill's movement were unsuccessful as the veteran's dementia-driven urgency overcame the therapy dog's normal intervention techniques, leading them both away from the safety of Sunset Manor's supervised environment. Duke was doing everything right, facility nurse Jennifer Rodriguez would later explain to investigators. But sometimes when residents have strong delusions, even the best-trained therapy dogs can't prevent wandering episodes. Bill's movement into the forest was purposeful and determined, driven by military memories that felt completely real to his compromised cognitive system. despite having no connection to his actual current circumstances. Duke's training included protocols for wandering situations where his priority shifted from prevention to protection, ensuring that residents who left secure areas wouldn't be alone during potentially dangerous episodes. The Golden Retriever's protective positioning included staying close to Bill while assessing environmental dangers that could threaten an elderly man with cognitive impairment who was moving through unfamiliar wilderness terrain. Sunset Manor's discovery that Bill was missing triggered immediate search protocols designed for memory care residents who might wander beyond the facility's secure perimeter into areas where their condition could create life-threatening situations. "We conduct headcounts every hour," explained Facility Director Mark Patterson. "When Bill wasn't in his usual afternoon spots, we immediately began systematic searching of the grounds and surrounding areas." The search operation included facility staff, local volunteers and emergency services who understood that elderly residents with dementia faced serious risks when separated from supervised care environments. Duke's absence alongside Bill provided important information about the nature of the wandering episode and the likelihood that Bill had protective companionship during his time away from the facility. Duke's training includes staying with residents during wandering episodes, noted Dr. Walsh. His presence with Bill significantly improved the chances of a successful outcome. Duke's movement through the dense forest demonstrated his therapy dog training as he provided guidance and protection for Bill while navigating terrain that posed multiple hazards for an elderly man with cognitive impairment. "The forest trails can be confusing even for experienced hikers," observed local park ranger Lisa Chen. An 82-year-old man with Alzheimer's would face serious challenges navigating independently through that terrain. Bill's military training provided some advantages for wilderness movement, but his dementia affected his judgment and navigation abilities in ways that created new dangers despite his lifelong outdoor experience. Duke's protective behavior included route selection that avoided the most dangerous terrain features, while providing physical support when Bill encountered obstacles that challenged his balance or coordination. Duke was making decisions about their path, search coordinator Dr. Robert Kim would later observe. His choices showed remarkable understanding of what his veteran needed for safe movement through challenging terrain. As afternoon turned to evening, Bill's dementia symptoms were exacerbated by fatigue and environmental stress, leading to increased confusion and disorientation that made him more dependent on Duke's guidance and protection. "Where are we supposed to be?" Bill asked Duke repeatedly, his military memories conflicting with his current surroundings in ways that created anxiety and further cognitive deterioration. Duke's response to Bill's increasing confusion included calming behaviors and protective positioning that helped reduce his veterans' anxiety while maintaining their movement toward areas where rescue teams might more easily locate them. The Golden Retriever's training included techniques for managing dementia-related agitation and providing comfort during episodes where residents became frightened or confused about their circumstances. Duke understood that Bill needed reassurance, observed Dr. Walsh during debriefing sessions. His presence provided the kind of emotional support that helped keep Bill calm during a very stressful situation. Duke's protection of Bill became more critical as darkness fell over the forest and temperatures dropped to levels that could threaten the health of an elderly man who wasn't dressed for extended outdoor exposure. "The temperature differential between day and night can be dangerous for elderly people," explained emergency physician Dr. Amanda Foster. Bill's age and medical conditions made hypothermia a serious concern. Duke's positioning provided both physical warmth and emotional comfort, as Bill became increasingly confused and tired from their extended wilderness journey that exceeded his physical capabilities. The Golden Retriever's vigilance remained constant despite his own fatigue from hours of protective behavior and navigation through challenging terrain that tested both dog and human endurance. Duke never stopped monitoring Bill's condition, noted search team member Mike Rodriguez. His protective behavior adapted to changing circumstances as the night progressed. Search operations for Bill and Duke intensified as darkness made navigation more dangerous while rescue teams faced challenges locating two individuals in hundreds of acres of dense forest terrain. "We had multiple search teams working different grid patterns," reported search coordinator Dr. Kim. "But finding people in dense forest at night requires systematic coverage that takes time to complete effectively." The search operation included canine units, thermal imaging equipment, and volunteer teams familiar with local terrain, but the forest's density limited visibility and electronic detection capabilities. Duke's presence with Bill was both an advantage and a complication for search teams, as the therapy dog's protective behavior might prevent Bill from responding to searcher calls if he perceived strangers as threats. Duke's training includes protocols for interacting with search teams, Dr. Walsh explained, but his primary priority is always protecting his assigned resident. As the night hours passed, Duke's protective behavior around Bill became more intensive as he provided physical warmth and emotional support for an elderly veteran whose condition was being affected by cold, fatigue, and increasing dementia symptoms. "I'm cold, Duke," Bill said as he leaned against his therapy dog, who adjusted his position to provide maximum body heat while maintaining alertness for potential rescue contacts. Duke's training included techniques for thermal regulation and comfort provision during extended emergency situations where residents might face exposure risks that threatened their health and survival. The Golden Retriever's endurance and determination remained strong despite hours of protective duty in challenging environmental conditions that tested both his physical and emotional resilience. Duke was essentially functioning as life support equipment, observed Dr. Foster during medical evaluation. His presence probably prevented serious hypothermia complications. After 8 hours of systematic searching, rescue teams located Bill and Duke in a forest clearing where the therapy dog's positioning and protective behavior had kept his veterans safe through the night despite challenging environmental conditions. "We heard Duke barking in response to our calls," reported search team leader Jennifer Walsh. "His alert behavior helped guide us to their exact location when visibility was limited." Bill's condition showed signs of cold exposure and exhaustion, but his vital signs were stable thanks to Duke's protective care throughout their extended wilderness experience. "Bill was confused but responsive," noted paramedic Dr. Martinez. "Duke had done an excellent job keeping him warm and calm during what could have been a much more serious medical emergency." The successful rescue demonstrated the remarkable protective capabilities of properly trained therapy dogs, whose skills could provide life-saving support for residents whose cognitive conditions created dangerous situations. Both Bill and Duke required medical evaluation following their forest adventure, with particular attention to cold exposure, dehydration, and stress effects from their extended wilderness experience. Bill's condition was remarkably good considering his age and the circumstances, reported emergency physician Dr. Foster. Duke's protective care prevented what could have been serious hypothermia complications. Duke's condition showed signs of fatigue and minor paw injuries from navigating rough terrain, but his overall health was excellent thanks to his condition and training for extended protective operations. "Duke performed exactly as his training intended," observed veterinarian Dr. Lisa Kim. "His protective behavior and endurance were exceptional throughout the entire emergency." Bill's cognitive assessment showed temporary worsening of dementia symptoms due to stress and fatigue, but no permanent deterioration from his wandering episode. Bill's family expressed overwhelming gratitude to Duke for his protective care during the wandering episode that could have had tragic consequences without the therapy dog's intervention and companionship. "Duke saved Dad's life," Susan Harper Martinez said emotionally. "Without that dog's protection, Dad could have died alone in those woods from cold exposure or injury." The family's appreciation for Duke's protective capabilities led to enhanced support for therapy dog programs and recognition of the life-saving value these partnerships could provide for elderly residents with cognitive disorders. Duke proved that therapy dogs can be the difference between life and death for residents with dementia, noted Dr. Walsh. His training and dedication prevented a potential tragedy. Bill and Duke's forest adventure led to improved wandering prevention protocols and enhanced training for therapy dogs working with dementia residents who might face similar emergency situations. Duke's performance during Bill's wandering episode provided valuable insights for our training programs, explained therapy dog coordinator Dr. Robert Martinez. His protective behavior exceeded our expectations and demonstrated new possibilities for therapeutic animal partnerships. The case was featured in dementia care education and therapy dog training curricula that highlighted both wandering risks and the protective potential of properly trained animals. Following their forest adventure, Bill and Duke's relationship deepened as they both recovered from their shared experience while the facility implemented enhanced safety measures to prevent future wandering episodes. Duke watches Bill more closely now, observed Nurse Rodriguez. He seems to understand that Bill needs extra protection and monitoring to stay safe. Bill's dementia continued progressing, but Duke's presence provided consistent comfort and security that helped him manage the confusion and anxiety that accompanied his cognitive decline. Duke gives Bill stability in a world that's becoming increasingly confusing for him. Susan noted during family visits, "That dog is Dad's anchor to safety and comfort." 2 years later, Bill's condition required enhanced care, but Duke remained his constant companion, providing the kind of unwavering loyalty and protection that exemplified the best of therapy dog partnerships. "Some days Dad doesn't recognize family members," Susan reflected, "but he always knows Duke and trusts him completely. That relationship has been a blessing during this difficult journey." Their story continued to inspire enhanced dementia care programs and therapy dog training that recognized the protective potential of these partnerships for elderly veterans whose service to country deserved the highest quality care. Duke had proven that some guardianships transcend memory loss, and that the most important protection sometimes comes from four-legged companions whose devotion never wavers even when the minds they're protecting can no longer remember their names or understand their unwavering dedication to keeping them safe. "I still think about that Tennessee afternoon when an elderly veteran walked into dense forest because his Alzheimer's damaged mind believed he was late for a military briefing that existed only in memories from decades past, while 300 acres of wilderness stretched before him like a maze that could hide him forever from the loving family and professional caregivers who were desperately searching for him." If Duke had been just a companion instead of a trained guardian, if he'd lacked the protective instincts to provide warmth during the cold night, if he'd been anything less than a therapy professional who understood that some battles require loyal soldiers who never abandon their posts even when the person they're protecting no longer remembers their name, Colonel William Harper would have died alone in those woods while dementia claimed its final victory over a decorated soldier who had given his country 3 decades of honorable service. Duke's story teaches us something profound about the unwavering loyalty that exists between properly trained therapy animals and the elderly veterans whose minds may be failing but whose hearts still recognize love, protection, and the kind of faithful companionship that transcends memory loss and provides safety when cognitive disorders threaten those who once kept all of us safe.